There was this one period that I realized my emotional suppression was so intense that I became technically mute. Mute in the sense of I wanted to speak, but I just simply can't. I think something is blocking me, but I can't tell what is it. I'm Evan, I'm 24, and I grew up in Hong Kong and studied all my life in Hong Kong. Basically in Hong Kong, most of the best schools is conducted in English. And if you go into a good high school, you would go into a good uni and you get a good job. That's the logic going on here. My mom brought me to a school where the memory was so vivid. I was standing right behind her and she was just begging, crying for the principal to accept me. At the end, no schools accepted me, and I would just decided to go to an international school as a backup. This memory was really traumatizing to me, where I became a perfectionist. Basically every day when I go home, I would set up a timetable with a 5-minute interval, including shower, including watching TV, playing video games, doing assignments. And at the end of the day, I would review what I actually did compared to what I actually planned. And as expected, oftentimes every day I would fail what I planned, and every day I live with guilt, I live with shame, to a certain extent that when I look at my parents, I look at the apartment, I look at my wardrobe, I look at my clothes, I feel that I don't deserve all this love from my parents. I don't deserve all this material stuff from this world. I feel unworthy, I feel rejected, as I did when I was rejected in those primary school days. Back then I was really active, very funny in front of my friends, and I became very quiet, very closed up. I feel that my emotions were suppressed. I was longing for people to care for me, to give me a hug, but on the surface I was trying to close up myself. This includes to my friends and to my family. Even after I close up myself, then those people might think, okay, let's give Evan some time. But actually in my internal voice, I was like, come back, come back. Actually, I want you to care for me instead, but I just couldn't communicate to them. There was one time at home, I was moved for an hour. My family finds something's wrong and I also feels not right. So I went back to my room and texted my girlfriend, and she has kindly called me and prayed for me. And just feels like a miracle how after the prayer I could start to speak softly, slowly after being mute for an hour. It's really my real life experience to really feel the power of prayer, how it affected me spiritually, emotionally, and also like physically. It's not only one time, because it's not convincing enough for me. There was another time at home where I couldn't talk, but I gave some hand gestures to my mom. My eyes were all red. I have no mood to do anything. So after the prayer, just about 5 minutes, I could start to talk and explain to my mom what happened, what exactly was I feeling, and all the redness of my eyes were gone as well. There was just so many more experience of this muteness, and how the power of prayer really helped me to break down all these chains and bring me to freedom. I went for a session for prayers, and throughout these sessions, it's basically a journey of self-discovery, how all these past experiences have affected me subconsciously to shape me into who I am today, and how all these affected me spiritually as well. It just struck me how identifying all these roots, all these relationships and connections really helped me to develop my Christian faith. I guess one of the lies that I've always put into my mind is I have to earn people's approval, especially from my parents due to my upbringing, to prove my value and my worthiness. Even at work, my primary aim is to get those compliments and approvals from my seniors. And that was really tiring. And I was driven by a lot of fear, how they would think of me, look at me, and my actions and behaviors would significantly be affected how they see me. It really renews my mind, especially with that song that reminds me of I'm a child of God. And every day right now at work, I just carry this identity back to work with power, with love and self-control. And I just feel so empowered and different than before. Now all my work was really surrounded by my love from God, but not from my own strength. And also I don't have any fear anymore. I'm just so blessed, to have this transformation, as it also boosts up a lot of productivity at work. And people would wonder, does this Christian faith really is the factor in transforming everyone in this workplace? They see my transformation from a person who lacks energy, who struggles at work, who seems cannot find a meaning or the value at work, into a person who is so joyful. I pray every time before I head up to my floor, just to be an ambassador of Christ through the communications in our relationships, especially in stressful times, how I could still be at peace and at joy to respond with love to them instead of anger and stress. And lastly, I no longer do my 5-minute interval intense schedule. I just pray every day on how God wants to use my time, and I would just rely on His agenda instead of my agenda. So I just feel so much freedom compared to before.